Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I am here with our Thrifted Thursday. Our hosts are Joanna with Joanna's DIY Life and Sabrina with Sabrina's Craft Nanigans. Links to their channel as well as a playlist will be in my description box below. Guys, I did a fun little concrete look. Let's get started by recycling an old calendar art piece I did years ago. This was done when I lived in California, so we moved to Tennessee in 2005. So this is old and it's been hanging in my stash for a while. So I'm just going to take off the little staples and pull this off here, and I am going to go ahead and revamp this 11 by 14 flat canvas. First thing I'm going to do is take this Castle by Plaid Folk Art chalk paint, and I poured it into an old medicine cup. And here I'm using salt. I'm taking salt and I'm just going to pour it in there and mix it in with my chalk paint. That salt is going to make this paint very thick and textured. This is going to give me the look that I want for to make it this look like what castles would look like, that concrete chipped stone. It just turned out perfect. And so I'm going to cover this, and it's going to be 2 coats all over. While I have that set aside and drying, I am drawing out some hearts here. I'm using some little curves for the top pieces, and then I'm just tracing them down to the bottom, creating little hearts that I'm going to cut out and decorate for this project. Start with my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to go just along that top edge of this cardboard, and it's just going to cut in enough so that I can come in with my scissors and trim this out nicely. Here you see how much easier it is now to just come in with my scissors and trim around this heart nice and clean and no rough edges. It just makes it a lot easier. Now, I have this paper pad by Paper Studios. It is a 12 by 12. It's been in my stash. And I pulled out 3 different colored sheets that I am going to put on my hearts. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my razor, again, I'm going to just just use that to cut a little line across there. I'm going to come in with water and a paintbrush, simple, right along that edge, and just saturate the top of that cardboard. And then I can come in and peel that cardboard off. And here we have it. It's just scraping off the top of that, right off of that corrugated area. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other 2 hearts. So once again, I'm just taking my X-Acto knife and not doing a straight cut, just drawing it along there. And go ahead and use my wet paintbrush and water. That's it. Once that is sat on there, I go back to that first one, and you see I can just scrape that and pull it right on off. See how much easier it is if you just let it set just that little bit of time? Didn't take much at all, and that just wipes right off. And then the third heart there, same thing, just wipe it and pull it off. And that's it. Now I'm just coming in with the paper that I have, and I put the plaid one on the medium heart, and now I'm finding out just kind of where I want that green to be, and I'm going to trim that out real just around the edge. This is not going to be perfect. I am going to be tearing this a little bit as well, so I just needed the basic shape of that heart. And then of course I'm going to use the floral with that larger one there, and I only need that one area down there so that it has, the only thing that's going to be covered with the paper is where I did not rip the corrugated cardboard. Now I'm going to come in with my Mod Podge, and I am going to just lay my Mod Podge on there and use my paintbrush to spread that out across the area that the cardboard did not get tore off of, the top layer of paper there. And this is going to hold down my paper to the top pieces of my hearts. So I'm just spreading that on there, spreading it around, and then we're going to go ahead and just lay our paper right on top. It's all laid down there. I'm going to come back in, fold the paper up, and just do a rough cut with my knife that's just a little damp on the end of it, and then pull the paper off. That's all I need to do, and then I'm going to trim off the back side with little notches so I can fold it over and have a finished edge on the finished side of my heart. To do that, I'm going to just come back in with some more Mod Podge, and I'm going to cover the whole back side of this heart. This is going to give it some more stability, not only where I'm going to fold the decorative paper over, but on the bottom where it is just the corrugated cardboard. I'm going to come in and just flip those sides over. In my fingers, I'm going to just rub that paper down into that wet Mod Podge on the back side and smooth my edges nicely around. That with all three of my hearts. And then I came in with my distressed oxide ink. This is in frayed burlap, and I used my little dauber here. And I'm going to go in and distress this up just a bit around where that paper had torn and on the edges of the heart and some of the raised corrugated cardboard. I'm going to do that on all three of these hearts the same way. To protect that ink on there, I am going to come in with some clear wax so that if it gets any type of moisture on it, it's not going to reactivate that ink. This wax is going to seal in my little cardboard hearts. Here I have just a little branch from my willow tree out back, and I am now going to take my canvas that I had concreted, and I'm going to put this together as a hanging heart tree. So I have my hot glue and it's been heating up, and I'm just going to create a curve. Now this willow branch is not, it is still bendy because it's, it needs to dry, but I don't want it to dry straight because it'll crack when I went to bend it. So I went ahead and laid my hot glue down and curved this as I wanted to on my canvas. Hold it into place as that glue sets up and holds my little willow branch in place. And I'm going to just continue to maneuver this around on my canvas as I get this to the place that I want my hearts to be hanging from. I trimmed off that little tip there for that one particular branch, and then hot glued the curvature there and then hold it down. Did the same thing with that little branch that is forking off of there. Mess with the arrangements of the hearts and see right where we want them to be. I'm going to go ahead and just put a good amount of hot glue on the back of my heart here, making sure that it's going to be attached everywhere on that canvas where that paint is, and push it right on down in there. And then the second heart right there, that smaller one, I'm going to do the same thing. A good amount of hot glue on there, and then positioning it at the end of that stem. Now I'm going to come in with that little stem that I broke off, and I'm going to just mess with it a little bit to give it a little bit more curve where I want it to be, trim it off, and then I'm going to hot glue that down on into place so that I can hang the big heart from my tree. I wanted a little something on the tops of those hearts, but I didn't want to add too much color here. So I'm taking some twine and I'm just going to tie some little bunny ear bows here and place one each on top of my hearts. These are easy to make. You're just going to take a loop on each finger, twist around, and pull each out. And there you have it. Just adjust your ends and your loops to the size you want for your hearts. and we'll hot glue those right on down. Super easy way to create a simple bunny ear bow. Oh, my canvas needed a little something on the bottom, so I went ahead and took some small little hearts here and a little bit of Mod Podge, and I'm just going to go over the top of each one of these hearts with some Mod Podge and then set them down to dry. Super quick, super easy. I'm going to come in with some of that scrap that I used on the large hearts, and I'm going to cut out small pieces here to sit on top of these little hearts. I'm going to do 2 of each color, except for one, that rose there. I'm going to do 3 in that one. Just laid little pieces of my paper on top of each one of my hearts. And here I have my little Cricut mini press, and I am just going to touch the tops of those hearts on the paper with my little hot iron here and attach those little hearts to the paper. Look at that. Now be careful, these irons are hot. I have this on the highest setting, and I just wanted to make sure it was getting enough of that heat in there. Don't do this if you are like me. I will end up slipping and burning myself, but I didn't this time, so be careful. Those were all on there. I'm just going to come in and flip that over and trim off the extra paper on the back, and then right around where you have that indentation of the heart, I'm just going to snip down to the center there, then come in with my little mini sander and just a whoop and a whoop, and we're done. So easy. That's all that took. I have some little twigs once again, and I have a little light line there at the bottom where I drew across with a pencil, so I knew right where my frame would come up, and that's where I'm going to lay my twigs down for my little heart miniature trees or miniature flowers or whatever you want to call them. Messing with them and deciding I wanted 3 little stems down here. I trimmed them off and adjusted where I wanted them to go, laid my hot glue down and laid each twig into that hot glue and held it in place for just a moment. In with some more hot glue and laid it down and placed a heart like a little flower or leaves coming off of my little willow twig down at the bottom. I'm going to do the same with my other 2 stems here. Those were all on there. I didn't think they were quite full enough, so I went ahead and pulled out some more plain hearts and added some to my little stems at the bottom. I put 1 on each of the ends, and then I put 2 in the center stem there. And then I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, did a little bit of something. So I took my Waverly chalk paint in pink cloud, and I just came in and brushed just a light dry brush over the tops of those plain hearts. Wait till you see what this looks like in my frame. Guys, this is a friendly reminder that this is our Thrifted Thursday collaboration. Links to our host channels, along with the playlist, will be in my description box below. And don't forget to go over and give them some love. Let's hop in to project number 2. This thrift flip, I think, is better than it was. Let's look at how ugly these are. I'm sorry. Somebody might like this. This is a 70s. This is by Dilly Corporation from the USA. And I got these at a thrift store. Mine was missing the chain and the candle snuffer. And so I'm like, well, let's spray paint them because I just did not like that gaudy gold color over that. It just was not my style. I'm sorry. Some of you out there would love that, but it does not go with my style. But the bones of this are awesome. These are heavy. So I took them outside and I spray painted them with my black spray paint and primer combo, and then came in and I'm using that same paint I used on my canvas. I wanted this to kind of look like a set and kind of look like more of a stone or concrete or something like that instead of the metal. And I came in with several coats on this part down here in the center. When they used a mold to fill that with the metal, and the seams are just so prominent on this. And then it had, the decor on there, and it was just, it was something else. And that's all I have to say about that. So I'm coming in with that same salt mixture and paint that I used, and I am just layering upon layering upon layering, and it's softening the edges of the texture that are on the center part of this candle holder. And I didn't worry too much about the top because that wasn't so bad. I didn't mind the top ring there, but the centerpiece of that candle was just, I just wasn't happy with it. So it did take a few coats, and I do think that this turned out better. You how thick I am putting this on there. You see that? And that paint with that salt is thick, and it just is going to fill in those dimensions so it's not so harsh. Now along the bottom, I'm coming in and I'm pouncing on it to make it look more like stone instead of that smooth marble. Now that took some time because I did let it dry between layers, and I'm coming in now with my clear wax. Now what I did is I did some two-tone with the chalk paint that I did by adding some darker and lighter of that gray paint in there to make it look more old and distressed. So I'm just putting clear wax on this right now all over it. Once that was done, they still looked rather plain to me, and I'm like, they just need something. And because I am an over the top kind of girl, but I didn't want these to be um, that next level again, because everything I'm doing in this particular vignette is that stone look. And so I have this little garland of faux flowers here, and I just took off two bunches. Each bunch has about 5 flowers on them, and I took them apart so I can have each petal separated. So I had the stamen and the petals separated. I came in with that same chalk paint by Plaid, and now I'm going to paint each petal with this castle color. So it's simple. I have a piece of some parchment paper down, and I just take one coat over the top side of my flower and cover it nicely and set it aside to dry. I'm going to only do one side on these. If they have a little bit of pink tone coming through, that's fine. Most of them do not. You put a coat of paint on these, they're very thin, and it does show through the back as well. It pretty much covers that pink on both sides. So I'm going to get all of these petals done in both bunches. Once the petals were drying, I came in with my Waverly ink chalk paint, and I'm going to paint the tips of my stamen. And that's all I need to do here. I'm just going to come in and just brush some black paint on the tips of those stamen so that they will be black on the center of my flowers. And there they are. They look like little bugs on my desk, don't they? So I'm going to take 2 of my flower petals and 1 stamen, and I'm going to stick them together, and I'm going to make sure that they are offset. And then I'm going to put some hot glue on there, and I'm going to take the back piece there, and I'm going to glue that right back onto that flower. And then I can press it up, and those stamen are just wet enough where it gives you little black specks on the inside of your flower. I think they turned out so cute. Okay, so I'm going to do that with all of my flowers here. 2 petals, a stamen. I'm going to line those up, the stamen, and we're going to put those in there. Hot glue the back. Forgot to cut off the rest of my backs there. So I'm just going to trim those off and get these all put together. I'm going to go ahead and take some more of that jute and I'm going to just tie it around that center along the top right there. And just a bow, just a nice little shoestring bow, no big deal. And I'm just going to pull that nice and tight. And then I'm going to come in with my glue and I'm going to glue my flowers all around that edge there. And this is just going to give it a little bit of a pop of something else that is not so hard. It gives it a little bit more of a softness to this concrete looking vignette that I'm creating. So now I'm going to go ahead. I put the bow in the center, two flowers, one on each side, and then two on the back. Even though there were almost five, some of in each one of those little clusters, some of them only had one petal in it. And so I just did four on each one with the bow in the center, and that worked out fine. I did, however, want a little something else. So I came in with my antique wax because I've already put the clear wax on here, but I wanted it to be aged just a little bit more. So I just came in with some antique wax on the end of a clean cloth, and I'm going to just buff on some of these edges here just to give a little highlight of some antiquing on these candle holders.
There you have it, my friends. Look at how adorable that turned out. I just love that concrete looking sign now in there with the hearts. And of course, the candlesticks, the thrifted candlesticks. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, I do hope you consider now subscribing to my channel. And hit that bell notification, and YouTube should notify you when my next video has gone live. Guys, your time is precious, and I know it. Thank you so much for spending some of your day with me. As always, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.